Hi. So I voted in the June primaries, like every other California in the state. And for Superintendent of Public Instruction, it wasn't a hard choice between Sonia Shaw and Richard Barrera. And with Shaw's background and her capabilities and how she presents herself and how she is with this, it was a no-brainer for me as to who to vote for Superintendent of Public Instruction. And she moved on to, which I was really, really happy about. She got 22.6% of the vote, which was great. And I was really excited that she moved on to the November general election, which was awesome. That excitement, it died down a lot. The California Assembly passed AB 181, which is, it restructures the authority of the elected state superintendent of public instruction. It doesn't eliminate the office. It transfers most executive and administrative authority over to a new position, which is an education commissioner, and it is not voter-based. It is, in fact, governor appointed. I wonder who came up with that. Okay, so under AB 181, the state superintendent is no longer responsible for, and they were responsible for this, is managing day-to-day operations of California Department of Education, serving as executive head of the department, directing department staff and administrative functions, exercising board executive authority to implement state board of education policies. Many statutory duties are now transferred to an education commissioner, which is appointed by the governor. So the person who's in charge of the Department of Education in California is no longer, all the responsibilities that they had before is no longer able to execute those responsibilities because they no longer have them. So this is what they're stating, that currently the superintendent is still an elected official. It's just that they'll advocate for students, families, and educators, serve as a voting member of the State Board of Education, not in charge of the State Board of Education, but you can still vote. Yeah, that's okay. Serve as a voting member on California's higher education governing boards to improve coordination across the education system. Again, you can vote. You just can't be in charge anymore. Monitor and publicly evaluate educational outcomes and advise the legislator and the public on education issues. Wow. So you reduced this amazing position that was formerly voter-based into this person becoming a person who votes on boards and is essentially a hall monitor. That's it. It's really sneaky, California. I mean, honestly, you say you want the voice of the people, but when the voice of the people are heard and twist it and do something entirely different. Wow. Way to show your true colors. I mean, bravo. Bravo. Bravo on the sneakiness. It's just so ridiculous. I mean, they got away with it. Well, not necessarily. I mean, we still live in a democracy. So currently Sonia Shaw and has alluded into possible legal arguments, which I don't blame her. She campaigned for this position on the behalf of parents who are fed up with this education system in California. There are arguments that this is a violation of our state constitution. And then, like, voters don't get represented with this. They're like, no, the argument is that voters get represented in the legislative. Because absolute power doesn't corrupt absolutely. I mean, you can elect a person to be your representative on the assembly. That's great. But that's one individual. There are a multitude of other offices that need different individuals, and they should be on an elected basis. And the fact that this position was established and was elected based and is the California Constitution, you're trying to tell me that you passed an amendment completely throwing out the California Constitution at this point, allegedly. I want to cover my bases here. And you don't care about the California Constitution. You don't. It's as simple as that. There's a separation of powers that need to be established. You're basically saying the legislature, the people that we have elected, unfortunately, I'm learning from my mistakes, people. Okay. The legislator is basically instituting executive controls. Who says that there are no kings? I mean, come on. If you're going to protest a king, you might as well protest the one. We're in California, I'm just saying. So you have executive control concerns. This is a huge executive control concern. I mean, a governor-appointed person is going to be in charge of the education system in California. Okay, so this is a question that might come up for you. Why do I care about this issue? Because I care about the future generations of the education systems. I have family members who are still in this education system. I mean, I try my hardest to be like, hey, go capitalism, don't go socialist. A lot of people can't homeschool, they have to work, and they put their kids in these education systems. And unfortunately, the education system there's so much that has been depleted, I've seen, and kind of watered down to the point where you're going into indoctrination rather than education. And that goes into a completely different argument. That aside, which is a huge concern, this should have never gone through legislature. And I highly encourage you to contact your local representative and be like, what did you do with AB 181? What did you do? You completely threw out my vote, said, hey, this person isn't going to mind because technically this office still exists. It's just, we're going to strip away all the power. You get to keep the title. It's ridiculous how you expect the voter to keep going along with this charade that you keep creating. And I applaud Ms. Shaw for all her interviews that she has done, and I support her in her action if she goes through the legal route of this, because this is ridiculous. She ran for an office, and yes, technically she hasn't won yet because we find out in November who officially wins the position. But the fact that they went through all this trouble of stripping the responsibilities of this position because she was the favorite to win in November, it says something. It gives me a little bit of hope, to be honest with you, that people are waking up and didn't vote based off of political preference for this position. They kind of went with common sense on this, or the fact that you woke up and you're a conservative or an independent in this state and you actually went out and voted. So, instead of complaining. So good for you. But it encourages me that they had to go through this trouble subtly, quietly, just introduce it and pass it through in July after the primaries. Like, it encourages me that you had to be that sneaky just to get it through. And it wasn't even sneaky. It was like right in broad daylight that you did this maneuver. Hopefully you don't win this round. This really weird round that we are in. I'm on the edge of my seat for to see what happens next with this because it's going to be very interesting, and I wanted to bring it to light as that yes, this did happen, and it is completely wrong that they essentially took away the power and the voice of the people. The people chose their candidates to do a runoff in November for this position, and you completely undermine the people's voice into seeing who would be elected, which obviously would look like Sonia Shah would win in November. So the fact that you had to strip the responsibilities, take away the responsibilities of this position, but not necessarily take away the position itself, is very revealing. We'll see what happens. I'm Vanessa. This is Fault Lines, California, and I'll see you next time.